Hello, welcome back to Seen by Few with Nick.
Lance.
This time we're doing another COVIDeo, and we're doing a series. We're gonna do Peacemaker, and
This is our first series?
no, we've done series before.
Which one do we do?
We've done Arcane, which should have been up already, but apparently wasn't.
So I was intentionally baiting Nick to say that. So I fucked up. I was supposed to put out a couple of videos and I totally forgot about it. So y'all are going to be getting inundated with some stuff here soon.
They've probably already been inundated with it by the time this one comes out.
Yeah.
So if you're like, man, extra uploads, where'd these come from? They were things you should have gotten months ago
Yeah. Like I just.
when they were relevant. Well, more relevant.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
We didn't do Arcane when it was relevant.
Yeah, but I mean, like, still, I still feel like people are going to still be searching for this stuff.
Maybe. Arcane's good.
Yeah.
Go watch our Arcane episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I screwed up. There's a couple of series that's Arcane I missed, and
Book of Boba Fett we could have talked about, so that one should be up at this point.
I missed that train. We missed that train because I forgot.
Yeah, we absolutely missed that one. But also, no one's talking about that one anymore.
Yeah, well, they're still complaining about it, I'm sure.
Oh, we'll be complaining about it for the end of time because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, but I've got dad brain and work brain and just tired brain, and I forgot. So you'll be getting some bonus stuff from us soon.
You probably already got bonus stuff from us by the time this one's out.
Yeah.
So anyway, this episode we're doing Peacemaker. We're gonna talk in vagaries about the entire series. I imagine once we give our rating, we'll probably be bringing up plot points of the show. So once we're like after we rate it, be warned that we're gonna start talking a bit more in depth about it. I don't know how in depth really we're gonna go into because
So I would almost like to be doing these like episode by episode. Because when you talk about a series as a whole in a video that you're trying to kind of like,
bring up finer points, whatever.
yeah, a lot of stuff gets left out. And there's a lot of stuff to love about this show. There's a lot of stuff that's just kind of meh, but there's a lot of stuff to love. But this is the format we're doing for now. And as Nick said, once we predict what each other give it and give the ratings, full into spoiler territory. So you've been warned. So, well, at this point, you might want to just stop the video, go watch Peacemaker if that's your thing.
Or at least if you're kind of curious, like what we think about things, see our rating and decide, like, if you know, like, what kind of movies I like, what kind of movies Lance likes, maybe it'll sway you into watching a series. It's not really all that long. It's just kind of like an extended movie. Because, I mean, series nowadays don't do episodic anymore. They tend to do long-form storytelling, which is, I think, why you get a lot more well-known actors, like established movie actors doing series nowadays. Is because now you're, like, exploring in a super movie, as it were. I mean, what is it, 8 episodes, something like that?
I think it was 8.
So, and each one like 45 minutes. You're essentially getting a 7-hour movie.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely getting your money's worth, especially since there's 9 episodes.
Okay.
And I'd say they're about 45 minutes apiece.
Yeah, thereabouts.
And even if you don't know if you want to see this or not, if you don't really know what we're talking about, if the only thing you know Peacemaker from is the Suicide Squad, YouTube Peacemaker, the series, and just watch the opening credits. It tells you, it sets the tone.
It gives you a good idea of what the tone is. But really, if you've seen the Suicide Squad, so have you seen the Suicide Squad? Did you like it? You'll like Peacemaker. Did you not like it? You won't like Peacemaker. It's James Gunn doing more the Suicide Squad.
So I didn't care for. Well, if I was to give a rating of the Suicide Squad, I'd give it a 5. It was middle of the road.
I'd give it like a 7 because I enjoyed it.
See, I liked Starro. I liked the whole thing that was going on with him. I'm not gonna be doing a whole lot of spoilers because at this time all that's out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I liked Peacemaker in that show. I liked the comedy in the show, but like overall, I mean, it was a better movie than Suicide Squad.
That's not hard.
Yeah, no, it's not by any stretch of the imagination. Even if they would have taken all the scenes of Jared Leto out of Suicide Squad, it's still a better movie than Suicide Squad. Yeah. So, but
all right. So, shall we give ratings?
Yes.
Would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So I like John Cena. I used to think he was a total pud back in the day when he was a wrestler.
I mean, it would have been nice if he was in this show. I couldn't see him.
They kept putting his name in the credits, and I just kind of kept seeing a dancing suit with a helmet with nothing there. Yeah.
Yeah, that joke's so old.
It really is. But it's still a goodie. So yeah, no, I like John Cena. I liked some of the other actors. We'll get into that. But if I had to give this show a rating overall, well, I mean, I don't have to.
I will turn this video around.
I'd give Peacemaker, I'd say a 7.
Oh, look at that.
Bam. All right.
I got it dead on the money.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to love about the show. There's a lot of silly shit, but I like silly shit. So,
I think that's something that we lack nowadays is kind of like comedy. We're getting a lot of like really good dramatic shows and stuff like that. But I think we're lacking, I don't know, like kind of iconic comedies and like
goofball stuff.
Yeah. What's the last like comedic movie you saw that you're like, man, this is amazing. Like this is so funny.
Comedic, like, are you talking like
just like where you would look it up and the tag would have comedy in it, not a movie that is funny, because I mean, like, the Suicide Squad has humor. It's not a comedy. Like, is there
Jackass?
Was that like, man, this is you busting a gut, slapping a knee, sort of laughing for Jackass, or was it just kind of like okay? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think I can think of a comedy I've seen recently that has been like had me laughing.
I'm really digging right now, and nothing is really coming to me, which is surprising.
I mean, I'm sure there's some stuff, but I can't conjure any of that stuff. Like, if people ask me like, "Hey, what's a great animated show?" Like, I'm thinking about like, "Oh, Arcane, watch Arcane," or "Hey, there's a couple of shows I've really been wanting to watch recently." Well, here's a list of. Do you like crime dramas? You should watch Reacher. Do you like kind of superhero stuff? Maybe watch Peacemaker or something. I've got things I could throw out at people for them to watch.
No.
If anyone's like, man, I've had a real rough week, what's something funny that I could watch? I'm like, I don't know.
I would lean back to like old school stuff. You want to watch comedy, go watch Young Frankenstein. But like, that's an old movie.
Yeah, there's nothing. We're leaning back on old shit. And where's the new stuff? I mean, maybe some comedy specials, but even then, I don't know if there's anything.
I guess we're getting too serious, huh?
I think people are afraid to make jokes nowadays too, which is.
Oh yeah, no, it's the most dangerous profession now. You can't be a bullshit artist without someone getting fucking offended.
Yeah, someone walking up on stage and slapping you.
Yeah, keep my wife's name out your mouth.
And that's dated when we're recording this.
Yeah, super dated. But like, we live in a world where, I mean, honestly. I've been called fat a lot in the past, but like, I don't go in crusades to stop the word fat because no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whatever.
But you can't pick on anything these days because people get super offended. But you know what? You have the right to be offended. I'm not trying to make a political statement. I'm not trying to take some kind of hard stance here.
It's kind of like, but you're gonna take offense to some shit.
Yeah.
Being offended about something doesn't necessarily mean the people who made you offended don't have the right to say what offended you.
Yeah, because it's America and you can still say what the fuck you want to say. But
I mean,
for some reason, if your livelihood comes from making jokes, that you could put up a campaign to cancel them, to basically threaten their livelihood for trying to make some people laugh.
There's plenty of people that make bad jokes, and I don't. Whatever. It's not funny. I don't watch it.
I mean, the Chris Rock joke, it wasn't funny.
It's not funny.
But I don't think it was slap-worthy either.
No, it's just like, who the fuck gives a shit about G.I. Jane?
But let's
yeah.
I'll rein myself in on that one. But
so, this is not. It's got funny moments, but this, for what this show was, it's a bit more heavy than I was expecting it to be too, which we can get into after I give my rating, I suppose.
Sure.
So my rating. Ready? I'll also give it a 7. Because I think it's just a bit above, a little bit above average. I could see myself maybe like in a year or so going back and rewatching the show. Maybe once or twice. I don't know if it's one I'm going to revisit on multiple occasions, but I'll watch this one again. I mean, give it time to marinate, I think. Yeah,
so we're fully into spoilers here because there's a lot of stuff. So keep in mind that I watched these episodes quite a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
it's been a couple weeks.
So there's going to be some stuff that I'm going to roll over here.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about it, as it were, and vagaries and.
Yeah, I know my buddy Franklin has been waiting for us to do this series, so here it is, Franklin. Yeah, we're totally, because I got to say something right off the top that in my mind.
So turn it off if you want to watch Peacemaker, and we would suggest it from the way it sounds.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of kind of silly shit that doesn't take itself super serious, then this is up your alley.
Yeah, if you like watching a car accident being recorded in episodic form.
Thanks, computer.
Yeah, right. We're gonna check this to make sure that we're not spinning our wheels.
I know what it was. It was that don't leave the drive in while we're recording shit.
Oh,
keep rolling.
Okay. Speaking of car accidents, but yeah, if you like watching a slow burn car accident that will whip you in one direction and then the other direction at a second's notice, then this is definitely the show for you. But like I said, just watch that opening, and
that'll give you the tone for what to expect from the show.
Yeah, like if you watch that opening and you're like, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And if you watch that opening and you're like, you're probably right too.
You have a sense for what kind of silliness you can take.
Yeah. So.
And I think James Gunn went to make an unskippable opening. I didn't skip it once.
Not once, and I've been watching it quite a few times.
I watched all 9 episodes pretty much in like 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't skip the intro once, and then for the next week or two, I would occasionally just be like, I want to watch that opening again, and just kind of pull it up on YouTube or whatever. So I think HBO Max on their official channel has the video up there.
Well, James Gunn he's really good about picking music. I mean, it's both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies,
even the Suicide Squad,
iconic soundtracks from old school music.
Mm-hmm.
Peacemaker, no different.
I think they went a bit more metal with it though, if I remember right.
Yeah, well,
music that I'm not a hair metal sort of person.
I am, and well, I was then. Like, I'm very eclectic in the music I like to listen to. I have a wide range, as my wife can attest to, but she's wearing a headset right now, so she can't attest to it. But yeah, it's even him. Like, I'd like to think that I'm a pro when it comes to like old school music, and I would hate to go into like a identify the music game with James Gunn, because this dude, he has a super wide spectrum of music you listen to, and it's all good, from what I've heard. Yeah. So you've been warned, and here we go.
All right. So what's the thing you want to get out of that?
So one of my favorite scenes in this is when Peacemaker is tied up from Judo Master, and Judo Master's eating those Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and he's like, Flamin' Hot Cheetos, huh? And he's like, yeah, they're good. And he's like, oh, I bet. And he's like, you want one? And he's like, yeah. And he flicks it and hits him right in the fucking eye. And he's like, it burns. And he's like, yeah, they're flaming hot. Like, that whole scene fucking had me in stitches. And for some reason, like, I had to watch, like, the opening again before we did this. And I watched, like, a quick recapper just so I made sure I had all the finer beats. Otherwise, I'd just be talking about all the funny parts. But yeah, like, they had that thing about the Flaming Hot Cheetos in there, and I was like, oh yeah, that part was fucking hilarious. Otherwise, like, Judo Master was a super forgettable part in that show.
Yeah, it's not super interesting to me.
I mean, they kept bringing him back, and it's like...
expecting him to do something, which he didn't really do.
Yeah, and then in the end of it, it's like I expected it to come back to be something usable, and it just wasn't.
Not really.
Maybe they're saving it for the second season. I don't know.
Maybe. It sounds like they're thinking of a second season. By the way, they left it vaguish in that they could go back and do more of it if they wanted to.
Yeah, but so you give me your synopsis of basically like what you observed watching that show.
So I don't know if I picked up any super interesting things from other than what they kind of gave us.
Yeah. So like the brief sum up of it is basically. Like Nick said, if you've watched The Suicide Squad, John Cena's character, Peacemaker, it was already segued at the end of the movie because I guess they knew they were making the show.
But I think they filmed The Suicide Squad, his character died. And then that's like when COVID happened. And during COVID, James Gunn was like, started writing a Peacemaker show while he was locked up. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I think they went back and like reshot an ending for The Suicide Squad so they could segue into this show.
And they were making it sound like they were talking about Rick Flag, because like Rick Flag was, we're not trying to spoil that movie, but
it's in if you watched this show, you know what happened in the Suicide Squad.
Yes, but like they basically did a pump fake and basically said it was Peacemaker just so that that you had your lead up, your Marvel-esque lead up into the show that they were going to. DC's trying to do that connected universe now. And sometimes, I guess. Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I feel like they feel like this could be something to start it off with because James Gunn, he makes hits. I think he made porn back in the day, but now he makes hits.
Yeah, and he made like what's that?
PG porn.
It's no Slender, not Slender. It's the Slither.
Oh God, that's a good movie.
I've never seen Slither. I don't think I want. Maybe I would, but
it's fucking disgusting. It's great.
That's why I've never wanted to. It always sounded disgusting.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it.
It's good. Go watch that movie because I'm gonna get Nick to watch it one day. But yeah, there's too many other movies I want.
You've got a huge list of stuff. Right?
There's too many other movies I want you to watch first, but you're safe from that one for a while. Plus, you know me, I'm going to forget that we even had this conversation.
And I'll never remind you.
So, but yeah, they reutilized Peacemaker. When I heard the show was coming out, I had zero interest in watching it. Like zero. I like John Cena, but it's like I did not like Peacemaker's character in that movie. Like he was entertaining.
He was funny.
He was funny, but it's like his Theos was so fucking weird. I want peace. No matter the cost, doesn't matter how many men, women, or children I have to kill to get it. And then they changed the Theos where it's like I don't kill kids, like in the show.
Well, it's more of like it's kind of like I'm willing. My credo is that I'll do anything for peace.
Right.
And then in having to do anything for peace, he killed Rick Flag, like this tough American guy, and
it fucked him up.
And then he like looked down at him like Peacemaker, what a joke. And then you can kind of see like the kind of regret, like, oh, maybe I won't do whatever it takes to achieve peace. And that's just kind of that him making the transition to like, I don't want to just like if killing a kid is the way to bring peace, maybe that's not something I want to do. So he had character growth.
Yeah, but like it's just I didn't like Suicide Squad. It was just The Suicide Squad, it was entertaining. I mean, but like, you know, it's like I told my wife when we walked out the movie, I was like, it was better than Suicide Squad, and she's like, low bar.
Yeah, that's not hard. Whereas I liked the Suicide Squad. I've watched it, and then like 2 days later, I think I watched it again with my dad. So it was funny. I like Polka Dot Man. Like, how can you take Polka Dot Man and make him something watchable?
Yeah.
I liked King Shark when he was in the Harley Quinn show. So when I was watching this, he was like a dumb guy. I'm like, all right, so we'll watch it with this. And then he was just kind of like eating people.
But like the change from Ron Funches to Sylvester Stallone.
It's funny.
It's like, it's jarring is what it is. Because Ron Funches, he's just so happy and joyous. And when he talks, it just makes me smile. I love Ron Funches. And then you get Sylvester Stallone, which I never thought he would agree to a role like that. Because he takes himself super seriously, and just seeing him in that role, it was kind of like, okay, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
It's like the scene where he's dancing in front of the tank in front of all his little friends, and the water breaks and they start eating him.
He got friends. that was hilarious. You know, in that second, he had to be like, is this what I do to people? This is horrible.
But then he goes and does it to people later anyway.
I mean, the shark got to eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had zero interest in watching this show. When I heard it was coming out. And then I had a friend of mine, he said, have you seen Peacemaker? And I said, no. And he goes, are you going to watch it? And I said, probably not. And he goes, do me a favor and just watch the opening. And he was like, that gives you everything you need to know. And I was like, okay. And I went and watched the opening. And that day I watched that opening about 30 times.
Wow.
That fucking song is good.
And I don't have no idea what the fuck it's about either.
I don't think
throw your dog an invisible bone. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Do you want to taste it? Do you really want to taste it?
Do you really want to taste it?
Yeah. The whole song, I don't think they know what the fuck's going on either. Yeah. The blink is on. Throw your dog the invisible bone. Yeah. It's like the song I think is completely nonsensical, but man, it thumps. And I watched that opening because the dance is so interesting. And plus I love just seeing Robert Patrick do that. It was just great.
Yeah, I just like how serious everyone's taking it, and then you find out later they're taking it serious because it's a mind control thing. So they're trying to keep everyone emotionless, so you don't know who's a butterfly.
Yeah, and so honestly, that hook I thought was weird.
Yeah. So my take of what the storyline to Peacemaker is it's the same as the Suicide Squad. Because what happens in the Suicide Squad? Big creature comes out, mind controls everybody. What do we have in this one? Mind control a big creature again. It's just...
Amanda Waller must really have it in for things that do mind control.
It's just another... I mean, it's a rehash of a plot. It's not a new plot.
I just made another connection.
What's that?
Even Amanda Waller's using mind control.
Yeah,
She puts a
puts
fucking bomb in your head, and if you don't do what she wants, she blows your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
blows your mind.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right on that.
So, I mean, the story, it's okay. It leads to some fun shit. Where, like, Peacemaker's like, I don't really want to kill people anymore. But aliens, oh yeah, fuck these people. And then he goes in, sees aliens and heads, and just starts blasting people or whatever. He doesn't give a shit about that. And there's even a scene in which Steve Aggie, whatever, chainsaws a gorilla. So that's fun.
That was fun. And the resulting conversation between him and Vigilante afterward was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it was just great where it's like, all right, we're going to go in and we're going to like eliminate these people. And he's like, is that a fucking chainsaw? And he's like, yeah.
We're not killed a person with a chainsaw before.
We're not bringing a chainsaw. And he's like, oh man, that's fucked up. And then like, yeah. John Economos like shows up, kills the fucking gorilla with the chainsaw, and they're all high-fiving him. He's like, you remember when I had the idea about coming in with a fucking chainsaw? So that's kind of my kill too, right, guys? Like, Vigilante was the most irritating character, but he was fucking hilarious.
He was funny, but yeah, he's kind of a little grating. But it's more the fact that he's a sociopath.
Yeah, and I think that was what I liked, is just how fucking stupid his character was. Like, I think my favorite part was when they had him chained to the chair and he was doing that.
Yeah, trying to hide his face.
And he was like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, if I keep changing my facial expressions, they won't be able to ID me. And like, just the thickness to believe that that's a real thing.
One of my favorite things with him was like, after Adebayo essentially convinces him to get into prison so he can kill Peacemaker's dad. So he just walks around to the prison, and there's all the cops out, or all the guards or whatever, all the cops outside eating, and he just kind of walks up and is looking around everyone, and everyone's just kind of like looking at him. He picks up a trash can, goes over to a window and just chucks it at the window, and then everyone goes and like drops him. Like, what the fuck is he doing? Is he trying to break in? I'm like, oh no, he's trying to get himself arrested. And then when he goes in and just kind of sits down at the table with all the white supremacists and just starts talking about how great black people are or whatever to kind of bait them into fighting him so that it's self-defense. So he's not completely stupid, but he kind of is.
He knows.
He's got like no social.
Well, yeah,
he's social ability.
He's completely fucking awkward socially.
But I think he's a sociopath. He lacks normal human emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's completely disconnected from like any kind of flow of conversation. And he just gets a hard on basically talking about basically taking people out.
Oh, yeah.
For the right reasons.
Yeah, like a guy jaywalks, I mean, you got to murder the guy.
Yeah. It's a bridge too far, but yeah. The best part of the show, to me, was John Economos. Like, I loved his character. I liked that he was the everyman.
Which one is
Diebeard?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, I liked that he was basically the everyman. Like, he was if we were put in that show, we were him.
It's more like, because he was just a guy that worked at a prison.
Yeah.
He worked at a computer, and then like you get hired to go work a computer at a prison, and like now you're on it's a superhero prison or a supervillain prison, and like, okay, whatever. And now you're the guy working at a computer, and well, we got bombs, and we're gonna blow these. It's like, what the fuck? This isn't really what I wanted to do, and now you've gotten roped into all this stuff, and now you're going on secret missions and shit. I don't think he was just a computer tech guy.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought he was. I just loved having his perspective in the show. I thought that's what really kept the show funny, because of course everybody else is like over the top, other than Leota, like or Danielle Brooks, that's her name. But Leota, she's kind of the every woman, but they're like mitigating circumstances that like,
or this isn't a thing she wanted to do. She needed money.
Yeah. But like her relationship, I thought was cute. How she was trying to keep that separate from like her life.
Yeah.
If I just want to get into like some of the other actors here. So, Freddie Stroma was the character who played Vigilante. Chuck Woody and I'm not trying to. I'm just trying. I don't want to say the person's name wrong. Usually, I look up videos of like reviewers basically pronouncing these people's names or them pronouncing their own names.
There's only a few people I recognize from this show.
So the guy that played Myrn, I didn't really recognize him.
I didn't recognize him. I think was Harcourt in the Suicide Squad. I didn't really remember her.
Which one?
Harcourt, the girl.
Oh yeah,
right there.
So I looked her up real quick, and she was in a few things, but there wasn't like anything that really kind of jumped off the page. The one thing I did recognize her from was Brightburn, which was another movie that
Is that a superhero movie?
It's
a supervillain.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was also done. It was also directed. This one was David Yarovesky, but the Brian Gunn.
Oh, okay.
And Mark Gunn. It was the ones that wrote it.
Okay. I've still not seen that one. That was one that was like, I was thinking, I'm gonna go see that one. I just don't go see shit.
So I don't know if it's true, but I remembered hearing that what's his name? Director
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn had a part in like a huge part in the writing of this, but like looking it up on IMDb, it's not. I'm not seeing it right now, but it does look like it has the Gunn brothers. I don't know if they're related to him or not, but I thought that this was supposed to be like somebody told me that this was supposed to be producer James Gunn.
Okay.
So someone said, again, don't know if it's true, that basically this was James Gunn's resume to do like other movies.
That was before Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
So Brightburn came out. It was a while ago. So Brightburn came out, and this is saying 2019. So this was after.
Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy, because I believe the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out in 2018.
Probably earlier than that.
I'm not 100% sure. But getting back to the girl. So the one thing I did recognize her in was Brightburn, even though it was a small part. Looking over the rest of her, she was apparently in Rush Hour.
I couldn't remember if she was in the Suicide Squad or not. If she was one of the people.
So she was.
She was one of the people there.
Yes.
Okay.
So she was in the background, one of the background characters in Suicide Squad, because that was the one thing that I did see that popped out. Because Economos and her were apparently there.
I was somewhat familiar with Steve Agee. I'd never heard his name pronounced before, but I'd seen him in like the Sarah Silverman show way back in the day with Brian Posehn.
Love Brian Posehn.
Yeah. So I had vague recollections of him. And
I've seen him in other bit stuff, and I know we read over his IMDb, and not a lot of it like jumped off at me, but like the guy is outstanding, especially in this show, because like he plays it all flat in this one too.
That's how I like it. That he's got that character moment at the end too, where people were like, "Hey, why did that guy have a different color beard from his hair?" And he kind of got to try to, as emotionlessly as possible, kind of explain that he didn't put a lot of effort into it because he didn't think people noticed him or whatever. And
he thought he was one of those people that was like invisible to most people.
And he didn't realize it was so noticeable, and he just didn't put a lot of effort in, and he didn't really put a lot of effort into his life as a whole.
Yeah.
It just kind of makes you feel like, oh, poor guy.
Yeah, he's Mr. Cellophane.
Yeah.
It had Robert Patrick. I don't think I need to tell you who Robert Patrick is or what he's been in.
It's even I've not seen him in a whole lot, but Terminator 2 was just iconic.
Everyone knows him as the T-1000.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to bring up Double Dragon.
Was he in Double Dragon? Really? I didn't even... Was he a Bobo?
No, he was like the main villain, the one that wanted both halves of the amulet or whatever the hell it was. I don't even know if I've seen all that movie.
I saw it in the theaters, but I'm pretty sure after it started, I probably checked out.
Yeah,
because I don't remember like anything of it.
It's for the best.
But it had Annie Chang as Detective Sophie.
She was one of my favorite characters until she died.
Yeah. Well, she didn't die per se.
She did, yes.
She ascended.
No, she died.
She's a butterfly.
Uh-huh.
You're not dead.
Yes, you are.
I mean, you cease to be, but like,
yes, you're dead.
then you're basically a fucking Gundam.
Why
Gundam for butterfly monsters.
Why do you think we call it brain dead? If your brain dies, you're dead.
Yeah, but like they absorb your brain, so like basically everything that you were it's in the butterfly.
Someone else is looking at your files. You're dead.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And she died. Like that body died anyway.
Yeah, okay. Agree to disagree.
She's dead.
Well, everyone's
someone else takes you over.
So you have Lachlan Monroe, who played Larry,
which he was also pretty, and I recognized him from Scary Movie.
See, I recognized him from, was it Last Man on
Dead Man on Campus?
Dead Man on Campus. And like it's funny because the second I saw him, he's got such a memorable voice. That as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh shit, that's fucking, my name is Cliff, brother of Joe. I got me some crack. I want me some hose. Let me hear you say yeah. And I just started laughing. I was like, oh man, I am so glad that guy's still fucking working. And then you said that he was Scary Movie.
He was Cindy's boyfriend, one of the two killers.
Okay. See, I didn't even remember him from that.
Yeah. I've watched Scary Movie a lot, and then last year I was like, I've not seen all of the Scream movies. I went back and watched Scream 1, and I'm like, I can't divorce Scream from Scary Movie anymore. So just kind of the joke aspects from that one is very hard for me to divorce them.
Oh no, I get it. Like I completely get it. We're not going to cover all the actors in here. We'll basically, okay, that's hilarious. But I can't say anything about that. So they had a guy named D. Bradley Baker.
Oh, D. Bradley Baker.
He was Eagly.
He's also all the clones in Star Wars, Clone Wars, and Rebels.
Really?
He's a clones.
Okay. Well, I just
he does a lot of animal like sound effects.
I was gonna make a joke about him being like the voice of the eagle on the show, but then to put a thumb in his eye would be to put a thumb in Alec Tudyk's eye, because he does a lot of fucking...
Yeah, he was like the rooster in Moana.
Yeah, he was hey. I'm so upset with myself that I knew that.
Moana's a good movie.
So we'll just cover a few others. So it had Christopher Heyerdahl. I hope I'm saying that right.
Heyerdahl, maybe?
Yeah, so he played the corrupt cop that came in the middle of the show.
Well, he wasn't even a cop, from the way it seemed.
Yeah,
he was just kind of a murder guy.
Yeah, and he was basically doing a very bad interpretation of a cop.
Yeah,
but like he had the funniest fucking thing in the show, and I'm doing it no justice, but like when they So this is the first thing I had seen him in. So I looked up his resume, and there's another show that I just started watching called Hell on Wheels. And apparently he plays a character in that called the Swede. Now, if you would have told me that that was the same actor, I would have told you to go fuck yourself. Because they are just...
How would you say that to me?
Because they are just like the guy, he I would just never have guessed it. Like when I saw the Swede on Hell on Wheels, I was like, I don't know who that guy is, but apparently he's fucking amazing. Because, but when I found out it was the same dude, it just gave me so much respect for him. But he was like one of the funniest parts in that show, because the whole about 5.5 foot tall, wearing a suit, pinstripes, red tie, and I believe he had a fedora. And as he ran away,
a black mask.
A black mask, and as he ran away, I'm pretty sure he said, "Robble, robble." And then they were like, they walk off, and he does that robble, robble. Like that shit was hilarious. He was so fucking funny in that role. And then the other thing that I forgot to mention was at the end of the episode where like everybody gets butterflied when they're all doing that, when she makes the comment to the one guy who goes, the human smile, the smiling is the hardest thing to replicate, and they're all walking out of the police station going,
the weird smiles.
Yeah, and he has like that Joker, like that smile was so fucking creepy, but it was enough that when I saw that scene, I stopped it and went back and looked at it again. I was like, how does he contort his face like that? It was nuts. Yes, I hope I said your name right, Chris Heyerdahl, because you're fucking you're brilliant at your craft. Do you see anybody else? So
There
Judah.
wasn't, the only other person I recognized was Daniel Brooks because I'd watched Orange is the New Black a bit as it was coming out. I trailed off on like the last season or two.
Daniel Brooks. So that was Leota
Yeah,
Abadayo.
Adebayo. Yeah, she was good in the show in Orange is the New Black. Orange is the New Black got weird and kind of like lost focus or whatever, so I kind of stopped watching it.
I never had the desire to see it, especially when someone said it was the female version of Oz.
I've never seen Oz.
Neither did I, but like everyone talked about it, and I started watching it, and I think I got about 3 episodes in. And I was like,
Well, I mean, I also had other people I liked. What's her name? Lori Prepon or whatever. Like Donna from that '70s show.
yes,
So she was in it. Like Natasha Henstridge. No, what's her name? Natasha Lyonne.
Mm-hmm.
She's in one of the Blade movies, but she's also in Podemo Cheerleader is what I know her from, which I'm going to make you watch at some point in time. So you'll get to pick up on who she is.
Okay.
That movie has her as well as like RuPaul and Clea Duvall. It's even got Rufio in it.
You are not exciting me about it.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, no. What's it called again?
But I'm a cheerleader.
Okay, I think I remember you were mentioning this to me.
But so I knew a couple people in Orange is the New Black, like the main character. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say she shared the same last name as me, but
Yeah. Okay. So, with you telling me that, would you like to state new rules to have you seen where we basically can tap out of a suggestion beforehand?
maybe. But there's already some I've told you that like I'm not gonna watch that one. But they're because like you wanted like man Jackass. I'm like I can't I can't watch people get hurt. It makes me feel bad.
Well, I wanted to do a spin-off series of ours called Nick Said No, where it's like basically I would ask you if you wanted to see this, and you were like, no. And I'd be like, okay, Nick said no, so I'd do my own thing. But honestly, I don't think I would have as much fun doing the reviews without you. If it was just me sitting here talking, because it would be literally me rambling for 55 fucking minutes with like 10 minutes of talking about the movie and the rest of it being like, I think pencils are weird. And I
remember back in my day.
Yeah, many moons ago. But yeah, I don't think it would be a great idea. But yeah, it's got a great cast. It's a great show.
Okay, I got good chemistry.
It
The story's fine.
it's funny. Like
Yeah, it's the story's fine, but the jokes in it, they're good.
they land and like
You feel for some of the characters, like you feel bad for Peacemaker and kind of what he's going through. I'm glad that they don't like where maybe Harcourt softens up to Peacemaker. They don't like just like now they're together, because I don't really like that he walks in and be like let's have some sex and then eventually having the dick bag kind of land the woman. I'm kind of like it's not.
I don't like the will they won't they
Yeah, I hate
storylines.
that shit.
Yeah,
That made
Sam and Diane shit is like over.
it made parts of Castle kind of like annoying to me, and like Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. I get so tired of like these two people are going to be a couple, and we don't know how to write a couple together, so we're just going to continually keep them separated. When you should watch things like How I Met Your Mother, where you have Jason Segel and Allison Hannigan together for pretty much the entire show, and they're good as a couple, and they bounce off each other well. You can write couples well. You don't have to. It's not always about the build-up, and then they get together, and you're like,
Now let's break them down.
what the fuck are we going to do now? We don't know how to write couples. Like, write couples.
Yeah.
It's okay.
When we write ourselves into the corners, we're gonna fuck with their relationship and you know get a few episodes out of that.
That stuff's old and tired to me. Like the relationship show. I like having positive relationship models that are kind of still have funny, but they can also have like tension to them.
You don't have to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, it's what were you gonna say?
You don't have to milk every aspect of something for fucking drama. Like, it's okay to have a couple that's fucking happy. You don't have to break them up to, like, induce that fucking bit of drama and, like, fear for this couple. Especially if they don't work, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, and also not every main character needs a love interest.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I think Hollywood still suffers from a lot of those tropes. And I think that's what I really liked about this show is I'm fairly certain that James Gunn was like, I want control of this. Don't fucking tell me what to do. I want control of this. I want this to be something that I wrote, because it's not the standard.
Yeah, it's a James Gunn show essentially. Like
Chaos.
an extended James Gunn movie.
Yeah, it's fucking chaos. And that's the other thing I'll tell you now. Don't stop the show after, before the end of the credits.
They put in, I don't know,
funny bits.
Yeah, bit scenes or whatever that are probably part of the show, but maybe wouldn't necessarily have to be.
I feel it's like it's cutting room floor shit.
Maybe.
But that was just too good that they left it in.
They just kind of put it at the end, like the one with the fake director or whatever, who's like trying to cry but he can't do it.
Yeah.
So he just kind of keeps making.
It was fucking hilarious,
and then laughing at the people he murdered.
Yeah, and not only that, but and see, that's why I think it was supposed to be there, because if it was blooper, the person on the ground would have been laughing.
It's not a blooper. I think it's just a thing that they intended, but not even necessarily as part of the show, but just kind of like an extra thing. So you can put here's a little funny bit we can put in in a I don't know, I was gonna call it like a rap party or whatever. Like, here's some funny bits, or here's something we put at the end of the credits, some funny bits.
Even if you turned it off before the end of the credits and didn't see any of those, I don't think any of those scenes would have any impact on the fucking series whatsoever.
Impact. It's funny little characters.
Yes, but they're priceless. Like, almost every single one of them is amazing. But yeah, it's rare to have a show this weird that has this much chemistry. And I didn't know that John Cena was going to be a good actor. I thought that Dwayne Johnson was going to be one of those 1 in 500 billion that actually has the chops to be a good actor and a good performer, singer. Cena, apparently,
he was good.
He was really good, and that opening scene, I'm floored by the amount of talent the man has. Honestly.
And you get to feel feelings for his character too. Like when he goes back and has father tension, whatever, you're like, man, his father's a dick, and then you find out his dad is a Nazi, and you're like, oh, okay, his father is a dick.
And even before that, when he goes to talk to him, and the way he's talking down to him, and the look on his face, you're just like, fuck, man, why don't you just headbutt him? You're Peacemaker, and he's a fragile old man. Just knock him the fuck out.
And then you find out he's not a fragile old man.
Yeah, no, not he is. He in that armor, he's something, but apparently the guy's fucking brilliant. Because apparently he can bend dimensional space.
Yeah, he's got a TARDIS in his closet or whatever.
Yeah, but I'd like to find out more about that character. But DC, I've said it once and I'll say it. So he played Augie Smith. Robert Patrick with Augie Smith. I'd like to find out
the White Dragon
more about that character. If is he in the DC comic books, or is it someone they made for the show? Vigilante, I didn't know that Vigilante had his own comic books until I found out later on.
I don't know DC.
Yeah, well, neither do I. I was a Marvel, Dark Horse, Image person when I was coming up. DC was just so overpowered, but and that's weird for me to say, because who's my favorite character? Comic book character.
Flash.
Yeah, the Flash is fucking awesome. Any of the archetypes you could think for a particular power set, DC has it on lock, because they're literally gods amongst people. They're not people with godly powers. They're gods amongst normal people. Because I honestly feel like somebody was just Marvel's doing this. Well, we got to do something to step it up. So where Marvel stops the volume at 8 out of 10, DC ramps it up to fucking 17.
Yeah. and
it's just not fun to read it.
I've never read much of it, and there's stuff I want to read more of, because I've liked Harley Quinn for a long time, and Poison Ivy, and they were interesting. I'm I'll try to read some of those characters. I mean, Wonder Woman has always kind of intrigued me. I just never gone back and read all that stuff, because essentially I'd be starting from zero. And whereas at least if I read an X-Men comic book and I pick it up, I kind of know what's going on, because I grew up reading some of that stuff. I don't have to start at zero again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
So it's just kind of, once you're into something, it's hard to pick up on some of the other stuff, and it's fine. 'Cause, I mean, some of the DC animated shows are good. I like the Harley Quinn show with Kaylee Cuoco. It's good. A lot of the DC movies have been okay. Some of them have sucked, but it's kind of a mixed bag. Whereas Marvel at least gives you meh to good.
Yeah,
DC has given you kind of bad to good.
Well, it's funny, because it's almost every cinematic submission from DC sucks ass.
It feels like they're trying to catch up, and that's to their detriment. Where like the first DC movie was Superman, and then like, well, shit, Civil War's coming out, where they're having Iron Man fight Captain America. We need to have Batman fight Superman, because people have been wanting that for a long time, but they didn't set up their Batman for that clash to happen.
Save Martha.
And it's bad, which is unfortunate, because like I like Ben Affleck. I like
He was the best Batman. I'll say it right now. I'll go ahead.
Good. I don't know if he's the best one, because Robert Pattinson was pretty good.
Robert Pattinson was good. I'm not knocking Robert Pattinson, but like for pound,
But Affleck was he was the grizzled dark Batman, which I'm so tired of grizzled dark Batman, because he was like gunning people down. I'm like, stop it, stop gunning people down, Batman.
But even then, he's still kind of charming. What's your power again? I'm rich.
It's like, you know, he was a good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I don't think Zack Snyder did Batman well, because he didn't do Superman well either. I don't like Superman snapping people's neck, being like, oh, he had to kill Zod, otherwise he was going to kill his people. Like, Superman would have done something else.
It was still bullshit. That whole scene was still bullshit, because, you know, he was going to like mow those people down with his fucking laser vision. Well, the lasers were coming straight out of the front of his fucking face. Well, guess what people can do with their eyes?
They can look left and right.
They can look left and right. So if Zod really wanted to, because the laser was like right there on those people and it was coming straight out of his fucking face, all he had to do was look right, and he would cut those people in half.
Which I don't know if they actually established it following vision, or does it follow eye cavity? Because maybe lasers only shoot directly forward. I don't know. It's not established, but it just seems that's not a Superman thing to do.
I bet there's somebody out there that knows that answer.
Tell me. But it's also, I mean, it's a movie too, and it's setting up their own stuff. That's how do you can, if I'm writing a Superman movie and I say Superman, you know, can only fly when he thinks of happy thoughts, then that's established in that world. It doesn't matter that that's not how that shit works.
Yeah, but they'll change that shit, because like Batman back in the day used to have superpowers, and they changed it when the whole Dark Knight detective thing was like more interesting
that's
to people.
more interesting.
But yeah,
like Batman just being a dude that's like a good detective is more interesting than him. I don't know, beating the shit out of people. Him wearing like armored. I watched the Batman like last night, and it was okay. But the things I liked in it was like Batman just beating people up and him getting shot a lot, and it just like bouncing off him because he's wearing bulletproof armor. It's good. It's good stuff.
It's my favorite scene of that movie, and we might do a video review on it now that you've seen it.
I don't know that because it was okay.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. And you kind of follow along with the mystery, and at the end of it, you're like, "Huh, that was pretty neat." And then you're done.
I just loved his introduction. The first time he walked out of the shadows, and like the dude rocked up on him, he was just like, you could tell by the way he was walking. I was like, that dude is entering a world of pain. And he was just like, bap, bap, bap. Bap, 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 bap. Like that whole scene had me fucking howling.
That's good.
Plus, honestly, if I was one of those gang members and I saw Batman do that to the first dude that ran in, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe this gang is not something I really want to do. Or I would literally be one of those dudes, like when everyone else is charging in to take his ass down, I'd be the guy behind him going, oh.
Yeah. Be the guy in the background that looks like you're going to fight and hopefully he doesn't come swinging at you.
Sorry, guys, I can't find my opening. Okay, you're all knocked out. I can just lay down. I'm just going to lay down. I'm going to lay down.
Actually, like that the scene in Austin Powers 3. It's like, look at you. You don't even have a name tag. Just put the gun down.
Yeah. No, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Michael Caine was so good in that movie. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I think of that one a lot.
Oh man,
because that's a great way to like intimidate someone to be like, look at you. You dress the same as everyone else. You're not even wearing a name tag. Yeah. Did you see how many goons I just beat up? Just lie down.
Your head will explode with one judo chop. Those movies. Talk about another like awesome movie, like string of movies.
The middle one is miss more than hit for me.
It's Goldmember, right?
That's the third one's Goldmember. I think Goldmember is funnier than The Spy Who Shagged Me. The first one's funny. The second one was less funny to me. Then the third one was kind of funny again, just because it had some more. Because it had like Michael Caine doing silly shit. Yeah. Which kind of helps. And then you had
Was it?
You also had the scene where Mini-Me joins Austin Powers' side. So he walks into the room, sees Mini-Me, and he starts just beating the crap out of him. And then it kind of at one point in time he holds the peace fingers. He's like, "Oh, peace!" And he cuts back to the previous movie. So he's
He's
like, I remember this.
that shit.
So he puts him in a sleeping bag or in a pillowcase and he's just beating him against stuff.
Like Jason Voorhees against like stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it's got funny scenes in the third one.
but we're not talking about Austin Powers. Oh my god, that movie is so funny. But yeah, by us not doing it an episodic breakdown, like we could just go over random bits and pieces of the show. But
I think ultimately it's watch the opening to the show. If that is the tone that you want to go through, sit down and watch it.
Like you're 100% right. If you watch that opening and you're like,
it's not.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's your opinion.
Yeah,
your opinion's not right unless your opinion as a fact is incorrect. That might.
But I mean, never have I seen a more concise opening where like it's like just from that, are you in or are you out?
Are you in or are you out?
Yeah,
and I was in because it's definitely what I was in the mood for.
Me too.
Like I've been watching more series this year, and a lot of them have been pretty heavy. After watching stuff like The Boys and Invincible, it's like I just need to watch something silly, and this one still kind of gets you in the feels and has kind of got like a heavyish message. So it's more like we're invading, but we're invading to save your planet, peace at any cost. And he's like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
No, it's against my shtick.
It's a price too far.
Yeah, it's the principle.
Yeah,
but
so he goes against his old credo. He's not the peace at any cost sort of guy anymore.
Yeah, we're not completely ruining some stuff because like we do want you to go back and watch it. It is a great show.
It's also 9 episodes. It's hard to sum up funny show and plot points and be like, this character's good. Like I think Detective Song was one of my favorite characters because she was kind of interesting. I liked Harcourt as well. I mean, most of the characters were good. I don't think there's maybe Vigilante got annoying sometimes, but he had funny bits.
Yeah,
that kind of made up for it.
Yeah, there was no throwaway characters.
No,
that I can think of off the top of my head. Most of the people that were in the forefront, they had an interesting story arc. Even Economist, like you thought that he wasn't going to be like anything too big in the show, but then he even got his fucking 15 minutes.
He got several moments where it's just kind of like they're going on that little field trip, and he ends up chainsawing a gorilla. I mean, he had moments.
Yeah, and it's like, remember that time when I told you guys I wanted to take the chainsaw in?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I killed the thing. So like, high five for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, everyone had moments, I think.
Yeah, and it's definitely an easy. I mean, I'm not talking for you, but I think it's definitely an easy referral for anybody that's just if you want a goofy ass show that's. The only thing that's really jarring about the show is it's like you're having fun 1 minute and then something happens and you're like, holy shit.
Something awful happens.
Yeah, and then they make a joke at that thing's expense and you're like, okay, I guess it's okay to laugh. Like it makes you uncomfortable in some spots. Like the first time he gets laid after he gets out of the hospital or whatever. And he's just like singing with the vibrator and he's like having a good old time and the bitch starts trying to kill him. And like that whole bit, like I honestly thought I thought he was going to die. But I mean, the show's called Peacemaker. Surely he can't die. But like the way that like she was cutting his ass, I was pretty sure he was like, okay, well, I guess they're going to backboard his ass. And it's just going to be him talking from like a fucking suit, but from like a full wrap suit. But yeah, it's an easy suggestion. Definitely from me.
And I think I see myself rewatching it again in the future.
Oh God, yes. Especially like when season 2 comes out, I'm gonna power through all the episodes again.
Yeah, probably. I could foresee that kind of being like that show that you revisit. Like when new season's coming, you're like, cool. There's a reason for me to rewatch this one again. Whereas there's other shows that I'm just gonna rewatch just on a whim. This might not be one of those, but it's definitely one I'm gonna revisit at some point in time.
Yeah, I think it's easy to say that you're also probably gonna watch the opening.
That's probably several more. Probably tonight when I get home, I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah. So when I watched the quick recapper, just so I could like refresh my memory on some of the stuff, Nick was like, "Oh, another guy did like basically what the show's about." I showed it to you real quick.
And it's more concise.
Yeah, and it's more concise. And I was like, "Is it long?" And he's like, "No, it's pretty fast." And he just played the fucking opening for me, and I was like, "Oh, they just do the opening before the thing." And Nick's like, "No, that's basically the show." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
It's like no,
I was making it funny.
So I was joshing you just to make you watch the opening again.
Joke's on you. I fucking love that opening.
I know.
You could have ran it 4 more times. But you were 100% right. That's basically the show in a nutshell. But But yeah, do you have any other thing that you would like to say about Peacemaker?
I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty well and good.
I have plenty more that I'd like to say about the show, but this is unfortunately where we're at the moment. So we don't have the energy to like basically do an episode by episode breakdown.
It's not this one. I mean, I don't think it's. Again, it's another one of those ones where it's one big story, and it's kind of I miss kind of episodic shows where you could watch a couple things and maybe several plots would occur over the course of a season. Now it's just kind of like 9 episodes, super movie, and it's kind of like, well, we want to talk about it as a super movie, not necessarily as a here's what happens in this episode. And cause, I mean, we could be doing that because it'll be done by the time this is up. But Moon Knight is currently on TV, and we could do an episode by episode breakdown. But I don't know that that's super handy.
It's not necessary for Moon Knight.
We're not the sort of person that's going to be. We're not super comic knowledgeable. We're not going to be pulling up screenshots and putting red circles over things in the background, being like, "Look at this! Here's the secret you didn't know about Peacekeeper." Because I don't know shit. I just know I like movies and like TV shows.
Yeah.
This one's good.
There's a guy named Ryan Arias. He does Screen Crush, where he does like breakdowns. Amber, me and my wife, we love watching him. Like when we watch like any of the Marvel shows and stuff, we'll go and watch his. Here's everything you missed.
Yeah.
And he's very good about like basically giving nods to people who like give him the information on certain things, because even he doesn't catch everything. But like if you and I tried to do an episode by episode breakdown of stuff like Moon Knight, it'd be like stuff that happened in that episode was cool.
Yeah.
What do you think was going on with this particular thing? I have no fucking clue.
Or these people who read the books or whatever have kind of like this character's a callback to this. Like I don't never read Moon Knight. I don't know what to do.
You want to talk to me about X-Men? I'll give you information. Not going to be as concise as some people are walking around within their head, but like
now if we want to do an episode by episode breakdown of Gargoyles, and I could be like, oh, well, this is interesting because this character comes up later in the show, and
no, I mean yes, but no.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be watching them because I want Jack to watch them. So we'll be doing Gargoyles. Like I want to do Avatar.
Avatar, the Last Airbender, as it were.
Yes, the cartoon.
Not the blue space aliens.
The Dave Filoni cartoon on Nickelodeon. I'd even want to do Korra because like I know there's Korra gets a lot of shit, but Korra is good. It's
not as good.
No,
but it's still good.
Well, it's not as cohesive. Like you don't get the whole Kitara, Sokka, Aang like Toph. You don't get that feel from Korra because she's a little bit more distanced from everyone. And she's also kind of a Rey in the beginning.
Yeah, no, she's fine. It's
like there's I have no problem with confident people. It's just
she loses a lot, so she's not a Rey in my opinion.
Well, it's I don't like it when they prop up characters just to knock them down later.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of that in the show. But I mean, like in the first series, you've got like those 4, and they mesh together super well. And then in this one, you've kind of got like the 3, and a kind of Asami. She's not enough of a part of it as I would have liked.
Yeah, she kind of walked in and out.
She walked in and out, and so you had those other 3, and then you kind of have that love triangle thing going on. I fucking hate love triangles so much.
Me too. And even then, it's like even in like standard love triangles, they still try to make like one of the 3 people in the love triangle like unlikable, so you can like be like, I want this person to go away so I can see these other 2. But she was so fucking cool. It's Ayami, or what was her name?
Asami.
Asami,
the girl.
Yeah, the girl that was dating the dude that like
whose name I don't remember.
Yeah, she was so likable. She was so helpful. And she brought a lot to the team.
Yeah, Asami's awesome.
Yeah, so
I wish she was in the show more.
So it was very. There was a lot of tension there, but at the same time, I think that's what turned off a lot of people to the show, because they did things that you didn't see standard in most shows, but still, it's like you didn't have the chemistry between the characters like you did in The Last Airbender.
But I think it introduced a lot of cool stuff to the universe.
Yeah, like metal
bending was dope.
Lava bending
Was dope.
Yeah,
I mean, I liked a bit more the blood bending, where you could just like turn off people's bending ability or whatever. Was kind of cool.
Well, they already did that in Avatar.
But that was an Avatar power, not a blood bending. Like he was just a blood bender, and he can just like stop the flow.
Kitara could do it. She was an Avatar.
She could do blood bending. She couldn't do the I turn your bending off or whatever.
Oh,
like where he puts he would like
the chakra block or whatever.
Punch him in the third eye.
Yeah.
Turn off their bending of some sort, just to kind of even people out. You find out, oh, he's a bloodbender.
Yeah.
It's good. I think there's good stuff in the show.
Yeah, there's definitely good stuff in the show.
Let's even get the airbender that's like flying around, like stealing people's breath, because like that's just scary.
Yeah, that is scary. Of all the benders, who do you think would be the most powerful?
I think bloodbending is probably up there.
So that'd be water.
Mm.
So I think wind is like
wind would be
like that encompasses so much.
It's stealing people's breath. Like, oh, you like breathing, do you? There's no air in your lungs.
Yeah, just let me negate all the air around you.
You like your heart beating, huh? Explode.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could do with all of them, I think. Or just be like, hey, you're standing on the ground, now you're in lava. I mean, they've all got pieces to them.
And what I liked about Korra is like they introduced the idea. So Toph was the one who did metal bending in Avatar, and she had it was one of my favorite scenes in Avatar was, and then the door went slam, and then she banged down, and then she put the armor around herself. That part was so fucking good.
Toph is dope. She's like the
Toph Beifong is
best one from
Toph Beifong is my favorite character, next to Iroh. Uncle Iroh is my favorite.
He's dope too.
Yeah, it's fucking. It was played by Mako, and that dude that dude was amazing.
So how much Avatar talk did you want in your Peacemaker?
No, I'm sorry, I can't. It's not a video with me in it unless I go off in a fucking tangent about something.
At least we said we're done talking about Peacemaker.
Yeah, that's true.
And we kind of, went off on a tangent.
Yeah, this is the overtime. If you're still here, thanks.
Hey, I mean, if you want us to talk about Avatar. I don't know if it's an episode by episode sort of thing, but maybe it's a block of episodes sort of thing.
It's going to be impossible for us to talk about it because there's so much to the show. Like, we could spend 3 hours just talking about fucking Zuko's character, like, development. Like, it's just, the show is ridiculous. It's got a lot of great messages. Every single episode has a great message. Like, it would be so hard for us to just...
I'd say it might be like a block of 3 episodes, block of 5 episodes, or something like that, and because they're only like 22 episodes or 22-minute episodes, aren't?
So there's 4 seasons for each of the elements, and I believe there was about.
Was there 4? I thought there was 3, because they don't have an air book. They've got the books based on what he learned, and then there was 4 seasons for Korra.
You might be right.
Because it's water because he learns water first, earth because he learns earth second, then fire because he learns fire last, and he's already an airbender, so I don't think they did an air season. Then Korra had the 4 seasons but they were different aspects. It was like spirit and stuff. I don't remember.
How dare they try to put fucking Avatar, the Shyamalan movie above the cartoon.
Well, it's
how dare they?
The annoying thing about that is like they're trying to make the fire people scary, but they couldn't create fire. It's like that's. How do you make fire people not scary? You make it so there has to be fire around in order for them to have a power.
Yeah, not only that, but how dare you try to put that movie over fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender? So for seasons, there's 62 episodes. So you have 3 seasons. Okay. So it's roughly like 20-ish episodes per season. So you were right about that as well. And then I guess they kind of had to ham-fist in the last power he learned, plus having to shut down.
Fire was shutting down the Fire Emperor or whatever.
Right, but then like not only did he have to do like, I guess in the 3rd season he had to learn fire, but he also had to basically learn the Avatar state to take down Zhao.
It was always sprinkled in there, but to actually have control of it or whatever, and it's good. So that's
Hotman. Sorry.
That's our little bit of Avatar and the Peacemaker.
If you want to see us talk about Avatar, put it down in the comments.
Yeah, I mean that would be a thing. I don't think it'd be episode by episode, but we might be able to break it down.
I'd be down to like do 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So
I mean that's a length of a movie or less in a week.
I promise you, if we do Avatar, I'll do homework. Wow. I'll have a piece of paper like in front of me to talk about certain points.
Now I'm just curious.
Yeah, and I won't get sidetracked.
That's impossible.
I know that's impossible.
That's literally that's never going to happen.
That is a check my ass cannot cash. So
anything else we want to add about Peacemaker?
Go watch it.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything else to say. So thanks for watching the review.
Do you want to taste it?
Do you really want to taste it?
I mean, throw that dog the invisible bone.
and something about blink with the blinkers on.
Yeah.
Make a turn with the blinker on.
The blink is on. That opening is so good. Oh, fun fact that my wife told me before we did this. Apparently, Alan Tudyk's wife choreographed that dance, and Alan Tudyk went into the studio to help teach them how to do that whole opening scene. So I did not know that.
Speaking of Alan Tudyk, watch Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Yeah.
I've already seen it.
I know you've already seen it, and I've already seen it.
Just throw that out there. You guys should watch that one.
We should just do a series called Just Because We Want to Talk About It.
We can do that too, maybe.
Yeah. So.
All right. So thank you for joining us. I'm Nick.
Lance.
Have a good night.
Or
day.
Or don't.
Or have a bad night. No, don't have a bad night.
You do you, boo.
Don't let me tell you what to do.